guys, welcome to another video, Purple Political Talk here, and today we're going to be looking at the JHK presidential forecast and do an analysis on the data they present to us when it comes to polling numbers, all these different things like voter enthusiasm they take into account when they make a forecast for the 2020 presidential election. So before we get started, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be up to date with our latest content. So let's get started. So currently they have Joe Biden ahead when it comes to percent chance of victory, 79.3% to Donald Trump's 20.7%. So here we can tell that Donald Trump is underperforming his 2016 numbers when it comes to percent chances. And this map tells us where they are expecting each person to win, especially by the percent chances. For example, a state like Arizona, maybe we could say that Joe Biden's winning there by around 2%. That's the average where you have a lot of polling numbers and other forecasts. But they present the data to us in percent chances. So Joe Biden has a 62.2% chance of winning in the state of Arizona. So this is not necessarily the popular vote, but rather how likely someone is to win here. And looking at this map, we can tell Joe Biden is performing very well in areas he needs to perform very well to win the election. We're seeing him do very well in the Midwest, winning by 80% or having 80% chance of victory, 86% chance in Michigan, 84% chance in Pennsylvania. Going down to the Sun Belt, he's doing a little bit worse than he could have done if he had gone with the full momentum down there. He has 57% in North Carolina. He has 66% in the state of Florida. And like I said, 62% in the state of Arizona. Very interesting results here. And why is this phenomenon happening? One thing that a lot of experts are saying and analysts are saying is that Joe Biden is heavily focusing in the Midwest. And that is definitely true. Joe Biden has started to campaign in person. He started to go out of Delaware and done campaign events. He's solely focused, him specifically, on the Midwest. He's sending Kamala to do other stops everywhere else. And I think he was in New York yesterday for the 9/11 memorial. However, at this point in time, Joe Biden is heavily focusing, and his campaign is heavily focusing in the Midwest. So that's where we're seeing a very big number of percent chances of victory for Joe Biden in the Midwest. So overall, if you want to say what are the chances of Donald Trump winning, using another metaphor or another comparison, if you guys like baseball, we could say that Donald Trump has the same chance of winning as an MLB batter has of striking out. It doesn't happen often. I mean, it happens often, but not as often as other scenarios. So at this point in time, Joe Biden is the clear favorite to win the election. So now we're going to take a look at what they predict is the average electoral vote count right now, as well as what is the popular vote averages right now. Where are the projections if the election was held today? So Joe Biden, they have an average electoral vote count of 330 electoral votes at this time. That's what they're projecting for him at this time. Donald Trump is at 208 electoral votes average. It's more like 329 for Biden, 209 for Trump. So honestly, that's no surprise. The Electoral College, however you look at it, unless by the time we get to the actual Electoral College voting, we have some faithless electors. But for the most part, the Electoral College will be divided between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But when it comes to the popular vote, we're seeing third-party candidates like Joe Jorgensen on the Libertarian side and Howie Hawkins on the Green side getting a substantial amount of the vote. So when it comes to the popular vote, they expect Joe Biden to win 52.1% to Donald Trump's 45.0%, to Joe Jorgensen's 1.9%, to Howie Hawkins' 1%. So these are very strong numbers for Biden. Again, we must remember that nationwide, you could win California by 40%, for example. However, that does not necessarily mean that the Electoral College will be that close. That's one of the things about the Electoral College that we realistically don't know, I guess, because there's scenarios we could say that, honestly, the Electoral College is not the same thing as the popular vote, and we've seen that in the past. And that is sometimes misleading. So here, what I would definitely focus on is the average electoral count, because that's what's more important. However, This shows that not only in specific states, but nationwide, Joe Biden has a 7-point lead when it comes to the popular vote. And we're seeing that being reflected with the Electoral College count. So now that we talked about that, I want to look at the time graph where we would see the chances of winning the White House. So this gives us all the election over time since March to where it is today. Here we can tell many of the events that truly affected the Trump campaign and make them stand in the scenario where they are now. When this forecast first started out in March, March 1st, we saw that Joe Biden still had a very, very big advantage over Trump, 20%. However, 20% chances of victory is not much. It's very tight. So you see that, for example, the pandemic started, Donald Trump became a little bit more popular, I guess. He didn't go massively down. But then we saw the point in time where he really struggled with the Easter deadline. I do not know if you guys remember this, but there was in April, when it came to the pandemic, there was a big promise made by Donald Trump. By Easter, the country would be reopened. That did not end up happening. We saw him go down maybe by 5%. Not a big deal for his campaign. He was able to come back. However, the pandemic got worse through the last days of May. And then you could say that this right here was a point where the election changed completely. If Donald Trump had a remote chance of victory, all of that went out the window during the month of June and July, and we're starting to go back up again. Why? Because of the protests and Black Lives Matter, paired with some of the effects of the pandemic economically and just the loss of lives. So essentially, Black Lives Matter started. Everything started to pile down. By June 19th, Donald Trump went from having almost a 30% chance of victory to almost a 20% chance of victory. 10-point drop in only 20 days. Very big numbers lost for Donald Trump. But then you go down, and then he started to even out. Because there's always going to be a point where you go so down, there's nowhere else to go but up. And that's where Donald Trump reached like mid-July to kind of mid-August. And throughout mid-August, we saw him start increasing his lead. Not by a huge margin, but increasing is increasing. He increased by 7 points since mid-August last week. He's gone down a little bit as of recent days. We could say it's mostly because of the military comment and of the Atlantic story and all of that mess when it comes to like another political scandal. But then we're also pairing this with him being a little bit more popular because of what he's been able to do in the Middle East with bringing peace between the UAE, Israel, and Bahrain, which is very interesting for U.S. foreign policy, and it's a very big achievement. Now, I think a lot of voters will not take that into mind. If this was any other election year where, a global health crisis that's really affecting the economy, if that wasn't the certain issue, I think Donald Trump would be very, very good off, and that would have helped him a lot with the Israeli deal. And honestly, we're very divided as a nation. So a lot of that is coming into a lot of the minds of voters. And at this point, a lot of them are siding with Joe Biden. Joe Biden has started to decrease a little bit, and we're going to start seeing the true effects of the election after those debates. Because essentially, the first two debates are going to be the most crucial debates. Because essentially, the last debate is pretty much worthless because a lot of Americans would have already cast their ballots by then. Which, at this point in time, it would be interesting to see because those 2 weeks, usually in a regular election season, are the most crucial points in time to see who's going to win the election. This time around, it's no longer like that. We're currently at a point where these next 2 weeks, actually, instead of the 2 weeks before the election, but next 2 to 4 weeks, very crucial to see who's going to win because a lot of people are going to cast their ballots 3 to 4 weeks early in some cases. Some are going to cast it a little bit more closer to the deadline. So that's something interesting to see. But however, Joe Biden has had a consistent lead nationwide when it comes to chances of winning the election. When it comes to the popular vote, the election was a lot closer again. Donald Trump was never ahead, which shows his consistent lead for Joe Biden. However, I want you to take a note of this. Look at the purple on the map between the blue and red. That signifies the chances of any candidate winning the popular vote. So if you look at this, there was a big point before Black Lives Matter that Donald Trump had a decent chance of winning the popular vote. All that went down the window, and then when he started doing very bad, I guess, the effects July and August, or early August, we saw the effects there. But then since then he's been going up a lot. And we're seeing here that it's tightening up, and we might be close if Donald Trump keeps on increasing. The chances of him winning in the popular vote go up a little bit. Again, it's very expected for Biden to win the popular vote, as at the end of the day, bigger states usually vote for Biden. And considering that, here's the thing about this election: a lot of the bigger states, especially like Texas and Georgia, they're going to be close, right? And let's say Donald Trump wins them. Because of the Electoral College, it's going to seem like he won them by landslides. But in reality, it's going to be a very small margin of victory, which really gives Biden a lot of votes and a lot of room for error, which really gives him a lot of more popular vote, which, again, helps him at a nationwide scale. And there's other forecasts that project that the election will be around maybe 7 points, 8 points when it comes to the popular vote by the time we get to Election Day. The last thing we're going to look at right now is the electoral count. So there was a point in time in March to kind of May when everything started to unravel that the election was kind of being contested completely. It was in the purple. That meant that for the most part, a lot of people were going to vote, and it was going to be a close race. Pandemic, all of that happened, like I explained, with the chances of victory. It's the same time of events, and the graph looks pretty similar. We see how Donald Trump would dive to a point, like, again, early August, where he was like 195 average electoral votes. Since then, he's gone up, and he's gotten closer to making the election back in the purple, which is important if he wants to win, because that gives him the higher chances and maximizes where he can win. At this point in time, Donald Trump is behind electorally and at a popular vote level. Electorally, I think he might be able to come back and catch up. However, when it comes to the popular vote, I think it's a done deal. And by the time we get to Election Day, after the debates, after any other scandals that come up from each side of the aisle, I think we're going to end up truly seeing the true facts of this election. And we could see either A, Donald Trump stay the same or even go down, or we could see him go up. And for Joe Biden, it's the same thing. He could keep on going up or stay. He stayed pretty like even, I guess, Joe Biden, because the election has stayed even. But at this point in time, it's going to be crucial the next couple of weeks, like I've been saying. And truly, that's what's going to decide the election. Now we're going to look at the race to 270 graph, which shows us what states are currently going for Biden and Trump, and by what voting margin. So right now, the closest race is definitely Maine's congressional district. It's a statistical tie, plus 0.0% for Biden. It's a tie. Nebraska's second congressional district, plus 0.8 for Biden. When it comes to North Carolina, 1.1% for Biden. Very interesting here. And I would say North Carolina could fall in the Trump column, but it's a very close state. So that call, I think, is pretty good. Arizona, 2% for Biden. It's narrowed up a little bit, and I think Biden will still win there because of all these different things, like suburban vote, all of that different things. And considering that in Arizona, Kirsten Sinema won by a margin of 2.5% in 2018, I think it's pretty doable for Joe Biden. Biggest call I kind of disagree with right now, at least when it comes to the forecast, they analyze it, I guess, a little differently than I do, is the state of Florida. They currently have it at 2.4% for Biden. I believe Trump is currently narrowly leading there. Looking at just recent numbers from the Hispanic community, that really hurts the Democrats. In just statewide, that's 17% of voters they've lost. And looking at Miami-Dade County, the most crucial county, I guess, for the Democrats in Florida, in the sense that's where they get a big chunk of their votes, their biggest chunk of votes. They're losing 17% compared to 2016. They're still winning, but it's 13. It's like 15% less than in 2016, which is 150,000 votes. It's a big county. So all of that is really going to affect Joe Biden and his chances of winning. However, anything could happen at this point. And this forecast shows us many different things. When it comes to who's going to win the election, they also gave us like the tipping points would be Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, which are going to be crucial if Donald Trump wants to win. On Donald Trump's side, we have Texas, Ohio, Georgia, and Iowa as the closest states by around a margin of 2 to 3% on all those states. And honestly, those states are going to be absolutely crucial. The moment Donald Trump loses in Texas, it's game over. And we could say the same thing if he loses in Ohio or in Georgia or in Iowa or in Florida. That means the election is over for Donald Trump. He has no other pathways of going to the presidency. one of the last things we're going to look at is this map, which shows us the electoral map, but with the states like not being represented by their size, but the electoral votes. So we can see there's a lot of blue on this map. Why? Because a lot of the bigger states that have a big amount of electoral votes are going to the Democrats. And these are all states, or for some of them, are very crucial for the Republicans to win. Look at the Midwest. Very blue. We're seeing a lot of blue in that area. The Northeast has always been pretty solid Democrat. However, states like Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, those are states we're currently seeing blue there, and it's crucial for Donald Trump to win here if he wants any chances at the presidency. This map is very interesting, and also the states that have a black circle around them, it means these are states that are going to be deciding factors on the election. Some states much bigger tipping points, as they call them on this forecast, than others. However, it's still a very important thing to take a look at. Now, the last thing we're going to look at is the tipping point graphs, where they show us what states are the most crucial states when it comes to winning the election. So whoever wins Florida gives them a 20% larger chance of winning the election. Or Pennsylvania, 18%. We're talking almost like about election day. And this is how crucial they will tip the election. Florida is very close right now for the biggest tipping states. It's the closest. We have Biden only ahead of Blitz 2.4. And Donald Trump has a big chance of winning here. He has a lot of voter enthusiasm. But it's going to be like by how much? Looking at all the other states that are on this column, we have states like Pennsylvania plus 5.4 for Biden, Wisconsin plus 5.5 for Biden, Michigan plus 6.9 for Biden. We're seeing that these states are going to be crucial. And honestly, we know this as a fact because Donald Trump needs to win one of those Midwestern states if he wants any chances at winning re-election. So honestly, if you want to take a look at this graph, we're going to take a look at it right now. And honestly, we're seeing a lot of these states that the curves are very tight. The more purple there is on one of these graphs, I mean the tighter is going to be. And currently speaking, the Democratic Party is definitely they have a very big advantage and they're very far ahead. So this is a very interesting forecast to analyze. And honestly, the data they're giving us shows us that Joe Biden is the clear favorite to win the election as of today, September 12th, 2020. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a huge thumbs up, like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be up to date with our latest content. Hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.